welcome back to our live show on a Thursday evening. I'm delighted to say that we still have our two guests in the studio. We make them captive during that 5-minute break during each show, which means that Kevin Gage, I'm delighted to say, still with us, and so is Leon Wobschall of the Yorkshire Post, who's covered more than 60 games this season, and Elland Road bound on Saturday, Leon.
Yes, got a funny feeling it might be a draw, that one, but
so?
Hopefully let's see a few fireworks for the Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday supporters' sakes, because it's been a pretty rough New Year so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, let's hope there's none of the fireworks that you might be alluding to there. They both had their frustrations. Sheffield United v Nottingham Forest. Chris Wilder immediately identifying this in the after the game on Tuesday, beating Burton 2-0, as a particularly hard game. Forest unbeaten in 6 now. Aitor Karanka appears to be sorting it out bit by bit.
They're a half decent side, I think. I still watched them play Derby, I think, last week. But I'm confident in Sheffield United at home. I think we've put on some superb performances at home this season, and if we play anything like we can, our normal game at home, I think we'll run out comfortable winners. I think.
Yeah. I think it's a banana skin, this game. I mean, I've looked at they've got a lot of games, the Blades, against teams at the bottom, like Birmingham, and then they've got the the Cardiffs of this world, Middlesbrough and Bristol Cities. But I think he's going to do a job, Karanka, like he did at Middlesbrough. The first thing he's done is get them really solid and disciplined and hard to break down. And he's a proven operator at this level. And I think it could be a pretty tough one, because there's an expectation on the Blades to win this one, isn't there really? You can't play the underdog card.
Yeah, it shows you how far they're coming there.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. But I think it could be an afternoon for patience on Saturday. And if they can get a hard-fought 1-0, I think that'd be a terrific result.
Everybody take a 1-0, eh? You take it now.
I'd snap your hand off. I'm not saying we're going to win it 3 or 4-0. No. But I'm just saying that I fully expect Sheffield United to turn up, in the words of Chris Wilder, and take the game to them.
And play better than they did on Tuesday, and I think they're going to have to play better
I think
in many aspects.
Yeah, it was nice on Tuesday because we didn't play anything like we can. No. We did in patches, but we still ran out comfortable winners, to be honest.
And scored two really quality goals. And taking the manager's point afterwards, he felt that they haven't been as clinical as other teams at the top, but in this particular game they certainly were.
Definitely,
that's a good sign. What do you make of the front pair? Obviously, Leon Clark is out injured at the moment. We don't know how long he's going to be. Tweaked hamstring, I think was the injury. Don't know quite how long he's going to be out for. How important that is that he's back soon for you. The partnership between Billy Sharp and James Wilson. What did you think the other night?
I don't want to be too critical of anybody, but I would like to see Leon back as opposed to playing James Wilson up front.
I think a
bit more of a presence with Leon up there, definitely. I can see that Wilson's a half decent player. He's got pedigree there. I don't think he's right for us just at the moment. I don't think it works too well with Sharp.
No.
So I'd certainly like to see Leon back, but I want to see the Leon Clark back, banging in a few goals that he was doing, up to Christmas or whatever.
Yeah, maybe the break will do him good.
Yeah, hopefully, just see things from a different couple of weeks out, and I can't fault his work rate. It was fantastic. He was doing all the hard miles and the challenging, but we just need him to spark.
Just needs a catalyst
for these last 7 or 8 games.
Another big player, of course, David Brooks. What a big difference it makes when you can bring him off the bench, and that would appear to be the role for the foreseeable future, because apparently he's not 100%, but he's had glandular fever, very debilitating. Not 100% to do 90 minutes.
Well, I mean, if he's not 100%, then I can't wait till he is 100%, to be honest, because I'll take him at 80%. But if that's all he can do at the moment, then we'll take that. Obviously, we'll take that. If he can give us half hour, 20 minutes or something. It's a weird one with Brooks, because he's so good. He's so good. But yet, in our strongest 11, he wouldn't actually get a starting place. His main threat is coming off that bench, with half hour to go.
Bit of a cold
which is brilliant for us,
Where do you see him ending up as a player? Do you see him being a striker, or just being deep lying just behind a main striker, or in the Duffy role? perhaps not. I don't know. Which is his best? Which would be his best position? Any idea?
I don't think he's a Duffy type role because Duffy slows the game down and plays little balls here, there, and everywhere. You know, and Brooks is an athlete. He's a runner, and I can see him. Playing up front, not as a main striker like Billy maybe, but like wandering around. You're licensed to roam, you know. But maybe a striker in a front three. Yeah. You know, so he'd be the left-hand striker of a front three, and just you can't tie David Brooks down. You just kind of get him the ball and
very exciting.
He's not a great player at the moment. He's got the potential to be a great player. Yeah. You know, he's only had 20-odd games.
Great games for his development, and just great games for Sheffield United. I mean, I've seen 7 or 8 of the games this season. What a great running, you know. All the games around in Bristol City and you know, Middlesbrough, Cardiff. They've got teams at the bottom. They've got Millwall. They've got you know, Birmingham and things like that. And
winnable games.
It's a bit of a...
People say winnable in terms of, well, they should win. I always say, well, you know, capable of winning. Brentford away, that's a toughie.
Brentford away is very difficult. Brentford are a very, very good side, you know. You talked about stats and stuff. I mean, I know Brentford have had the most shots of anybody in the division.
Have they?
Oh, by far. The most shots of anybody. Their finish is not brilliant. They've had the most corners by a long, long way of anybody in the division, which tells you, you know, they're dominant going forward. They're spending far more time in the opposition area than the opposition.
They've got a way of playing, haven't they? They're all comfortable.
Very
with
good.
it. I saw them at Hillsborough early in the season, and they should have been out of sight at half time. I mean, they had so many chances, but just 1-0.
Well, then it's Barnsley away, and I feel sorry for Barnsley supporters. It's not for the first time, because, you know, there was the lure of this, you know, hugely wealthy people coming in, the takeover, and it's all just gone flat, hasn't it, really? It's not, you know, there's a sense of not quite knowing who's calling the shots behind the scenes. A strange appointment as manager, do you think, Moraes?
It was really a bit left field. I mean, with the sort of ownership structure, I wasn't too surprised it sort of went that way, really. I mean, he has got sort of some experience over here with Mourinho as one of his coaching staff at Chelsea. I mean, in fairness to him, in the first game, it was a massive game against Burton. They were losing at half time. They ended up sort of losing the game, but he at least he had something to cling on to in the second half. He had Tiam on the right with Big Kiefer Moore through the middle and McBurney. I think that's the 3 that they'll probably stick with now for the rest of the season. But
I think they'll be okay?
I think it's all going to boil down to the home form. They've won 3 home games, talking about stats, in 14 months, and it's not good enough, is that, at sort of any level, really, if you're going to have a good season. They've not won at home since November the 4th. They're partway through 3 successive home games. They drew against Norwich. They've got Millwall on Saturday, then Bristol City. Shortly after the Blades, they're going to have to win a few of those. Yeah. I think it's between them and Birmingham, to be quite honest.
You'd expect the Blades to go and win there, actually. You would.
I'm looking at Barnsley and Birmingham, and if we don't get 4 points out of those games,
those 2 away games,
at the end, then I'll be very disappointed.
And then Middlesbrough and Millwall at home. Preston at home, that'd be difficult, and Bristol City away at the end. Could be an all or nothing.
There's a lot of intrigue. You know, it's just. Tremendous games, aren't they?
Isn't it nice that we're able to talk like this, though? You know, the last 8 games of the season, we're talking about potentially going to Bristol City and maybe needing a draw or even a win, you know, to get in that playoff.
It'd be lovely if they did do it, but it's a bit of a free hit in some respects. I mean, even if they do finish 7th or 8th, I mean, you look at some of the sides who they're going to finish above. I mean, traditionally, sides who are probably as big as Sheffield United, but they've probably got a lot more sort of, you know, firepower in terms of money and resources, and you know, and it'll all build up nicely for the summer. It's going to be a big summer, isn't it? They need to get 3 or 4 really quality players, I think, to take them to probably the next level. But who's to say that they might not sneak in 6th place?
Well, if they do, I mean, you know, what you'd hope between now and the end of the season, wherever the Blades finish up, is that ownership issues behind the scenes are resolved. Because, you know, while ever that's in a state of limbo, that is damaging to the club and damaging to the future prospects. And I would suspect quite demoralising for the manager as well, if he feels that he's pushing a football club forward and that those who are in charge of it aren't. And it occurs to me, and there's a load of well-meaning people at Sheffield United, don't get me wrong here, a lot of very well-meaning people. They've just got too many chiefs. That's my view, behind the scenes. You know, could do with streamlining it, you know, so that we know where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, pound for pound, Chris has done as good a job as anyone at that level, hasn't he, really?
Yeah.
You know, he's absolutely fantastic, first-class job with his players. They're all on the same hymn sheet, and he's getting every last ounce of them, isn't he, really? Just been impressed as well after obviously they got beat at Fulham and got beat quite well, but they've reacted really nicely to that, and you know, what an intrigue in the rest of the season.
Have a look at Sheffield Wednesday's run in a couple of minutes' time, but as you know, we always try and round up other sports quite briefly, and it is a lively sporting area as usual. It's plenty going on, not least in ice hockey. It's a bit like the Rangers v Celtic clash, which seems to me to be every other week in Scotland. I don't know how many times a year, but they face each other something like 8 times, and then there's the cups and stuff like that. And it's the same with Sheffield Steelers against Nottingham Panthers, the old enemy, coming to the arena this Saturday at 7 p.m, the face-off. And Steelers have actually won the last 5 meetings against their old enemy Nottingham, following a 3-2 away win this week. And across the season, it's 7 wins in 9 against Nottingham. Astonishing stat. That's all stats tonight. So look forward to that at the arena on Saturday. Great to see rugby league back in Sheffield. Sheffield Eagles return to the city, to the new ground at the Olympic Legacy Park last weekend, although they did lose actually to Toronto Wolfpack. And it's now 5 straight defeats, quite an alarming start to the season. However, it's very good indeed that they're back in the city. That's big. And the crowd as well, relatively, it was in excess of 850, and I'm told that exceeded expectations. So people are out there supporting them, and do so again this weekend, even though they're up in the northwest. They're at Barrow in the Challenge Cup on Sunday. Rugby union, also a bit of a tale of woe for Sheffield Tigers. 9 defeats in 11 games at the moment. They travel to Stourbridge this weekend. Sheffield are in a losing run as well currently, so good luck to both those teams. A victory for Sheffield Sharks in basketball. That was in a televised clash against Cheshire Phoenix last weekend, 88-81. They do get some titanic close games in basketball. Terrific team in Sheffield, and they're now in 4th place in the table with 2 games in hand over the team in 3rd place, Glasgow Rocks, who in fact they meet away from home this weekend. So that really is a big fixture, and that is also televised. It's live on the Free Sports channel. Tune into that if you can. Briefly, the 2 non-league Sheffield football clubs, Sheffield FC are at home to Kidsgrove Athletic at the weekend at the Coach and Horses on Saturday. Hallam are also at home on Saturday as well against Rossington May. Now, there's been a managerial change or another exit. They seem to happen quite a lot at Sheffield FC, the world's oldest club. Latest victim there, Mark Shaw, has departed his position along with his assistant manager, created a vacancy there. It's always an attractive and prestigious job, and a name instantly occurred to me when I looked at that today, and that was Ryan Hindley. I don't know if you agree, Kevin, the former Hallam manager and Worksop Town. I just leapt at me. I just thought they've got to look at him. What do you think?
I think it's a very good shout. Yeah, he's well known in the area. He's well respected in the area, and everybody seems to get on with him and like him as a person. And I think if I was a player, I'd quite like to play for him. He's got a good character.
It's half the battle, isn't it?
Yeah. And I can see that would be a good appointment, actually.
He's a very bright spark, and his teams play like they reflect that, because I've always thought, watching Hallam quite a bit, that win, lose or draw, they entertain. Yeah. You know, it's an attacking style of football. I
don't know what went on at Worksop, but he was doing very well at Worksop. A bit of politics off the field has made.
Yeah, they got taken over.
That, yeah,
that so often happens with a takeover. The manager gets replaced. Yeah. So there's a shout from us anyway, Ryan Hindley. And Sheffield FC ladies, just to finish on this, because I know that you've got family interests in this. The newly formed ladies team at Bramall Lane, and the big news about a week or so ago was that they're applying for membership of the new FA Women's Championship, which is a bit like going to be like a second division, or a bit like the Championship is in the men's game, just below the Super League.
Yeah.
Let's hope they succeed with that. I mean, there's quite a few big name clubs are actually applying. You know,
yeah, there's a lot of good clubs already in there. Of course, Aston Villa are in there, and Millwall are in there. In the Super League one, you've got your Man Cities, Arsenal's, Chelsea's. They're full-time professionals. So Sheffield United have applied to be in the Championship, as you say, which is a part-time league. Yeah. But the future and the plans they have are really quite impressive. You mentioned the old Don Valley Stadium, the Legacy Park, and they're going to share that with the Sheffield Eagles. And there's stands being built. There's going to be a new Desso pitch. They really are putting some investment and some time and effort into it. Yeah,
that's good to see. And you do have family.
I've got 3 stepdaughters, and the youngest one just happens to be brilliant at football. She's played for United for about 4 or 5 years now, since the age of 10.
What position?
She's a number 10.
Okay.
She's a creative number 10. And
another Duffy. Yeah.
She's played for England. She's had 5 games for England. She's in the England under-16 squad, so you know, got high hopes for her to now come through the Sheffield United system. You know, whereas 2 years ago there was no Sheffield United ladies team to go into. She'd have had to go to Man City or you know, Liverpool or Aston Villa or somewhere like that. Or Donny Bells, of course. Donny Bells have got a decent
managed by
team,
Neil Redfern, who I worked with the other night, the former Leeds manager and Rotherham manager for TalkSport. Had the pleasure of his company at Bramall Lane for the game on Tuesday. Always good to see him. By the way, commiserations to the family of and the many friends and colleagues of Dave Callaghan, Mr. Yorkshire Cricket, great commentator on cricket, has been for many years around the Yorkshire scene, big rugby league aficionado as well. And Dave, very sadly, and a great shock as well it was, sudden death this week at the age of 63. And Leon, you'll have known him as well. Yeah,
he'll be sadly missed, Dave. I mean, he also fit in some football reports on Leeds United. I remember a few years ago travelling to a game at Watford with him, but a real salt of the earth gentleman, and I think I put in a tweet a night of the realm in terms of Yorkshire sporting broadcasting and journalism, and you only have to look in the tributes to him how sadly missed he'll be, and summers won't be quite the same without Dave. A
cheerful, kind, unfailingly enthusiastic man who'd always help you if he possibly could. Yeah. So it was a great sadness to all of us who knew, many people who knew Dave Callaghan. I promised that we'd have a look through Wednesday's remaining fixtures this season. You know, it's almost incidental who they play. It's just about getting some performances and points on the board. Do you think now, with the likes of Bannon, Hutchinson coming back, a little bit more steel, a bit more strength?
It probably will. They're 2 big players for them, aren't they? I mean, Bannon's he's a lovely player on his day, isn't he? And he gets them round the park. Obviously, a bit of an issue about his best position. He did play quite a bit under Carlos. He was very deep, wasn't he? And he's better further forward where he can pull the strings. And Hutchinson's he's a character, isn't he? You know, and
a bit of a
rabble rouser, and that I don't think at this time of the season that'll be a bad thing, really.
That's the kind of quality Sheffield Wednesday have lacked.
You know, a few good performances and getting those around them to sort of feed off them and get a couple of wins, and everything can settle down. Then they can get onto the summer where it's going to be a huge summer for them, isn't it, on a lot of levels.
One fixture in particular stands out as a game they should win, and that is at Sunderland. You couldn't have imagined yourself saying that. It's almost a gimme playing Sunderland, which is incredible when you think about it, isn't it? The way that club is.
Yeah, I mean, when Chris Coleman was appointed, he was the type of manager you would have expected to get a hold of them and drag them back up there. But for whatever reason, obviously he hasn't been able to do it.
It's certainly not been about the managers, because too many good ones have struggled there, haven't they? Like, for instance, Simon Grayson, who you'll have spoken to last night.
Yeah, I mean,
Bradford City manager.
I still think it was a little bit early that they sort of got rid of him, really. I mean, it's a classic one. You know, obviously Simon looked at it, and even Chris as well. It's the sort of right club, but just at the wrong time, isn't it? I mean, there's all sorts of issues there with the owner, and I mean, it'll be interesting. isn't it in the 4th week of March where you can still go into, I'm not quite sure, but you can go into administration and then get the 10 points off in that season.
This season, rather than having a hangover to next.
But then after...
Is there a possibility of that?
There's been a fair bit of talk, on the social media and various things, and I mean, I think they are they're pretty nailed on to get relegated, aren't they, this season, and there's all sorts of walls coming down there.
Yeah.
And that's a good game for Wednesday, I think, that one, isn't it, on Easter Monday?
Well, it theoretically should be.
In
They've
theory,
got Preston at home before them, which is going to be difficult. I've seen them recently. Very impressed. Alex Neil's doing a good job there. Fulham at home, again, which is, you'd take a point, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
QPR away, Hull away. Now, Hull seem to have turned it at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a few Hull games this season, and you look at their team sheet and the quality they've got there.
Yes,
and
should never have been
they
down
should
there.
not be anywhere near where they are.
No.
The likes of Grzycki, who's a Polish international winger. Bowen's been, he's been a bit of a revelation in the first part of the season. Various others. One thing they've had quite a few long-term injuries, but they've got a couple of results now, haven't they? In the last week or so, good win at Ipswich and 4-3 against Norwich on Saturday, so it's settled them down.
Managed, of course, by Nigel
got a great manager, haven't they?
So. You've always said it.
Oh yeah,
You've always said that. I know. He's smiling away. Every dog has his day, Kevin.
He was due to have a good run, wasn't he? Let's be fair, I think.
He was always
it never happened.
Fit for Sheffield United.
Never worked, did it?
No.
It was. He must look back on it himself as an incredible wasted opportunity with the squad he inherited. And why it didn't work, there are theories. But he's back in the game now, and like you say, people were saying early season, Hull, the manager needs money to spend on players. And I was looking, Grzycki was often on the bench. Now, if there's a better, more talented player than Grzycki, there aren't many in the Championship. Why is he not in the team more regularly? Is he erratic, or is he a problem?
Yeah, he's had one or two little injuries, hasn't he? But he's, I think there's a bit of that as well. I don't think, I think he's quite high maintenance, shall we say. And but at his best, there's probably few wingers in the Championship who can sort of get near.
If you have him and Bowen in the same team and you can get a structure around that, they're very, very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, looking at those games for Sheffield Wednesday, I mean, they've got some decent ones towards the end. Is it the 2 home games? They've got Norwich.
Yeah, they've got Reading at home.
Reading.
Which you'd have to fancy yourself, because they've had a mysteriously awful season.
They're decent games, but you just think if Wednesday don't get a win soon, they're going to be more pressure on them than perhaps the.
But there won't be if the teams at the bottom 3 keep losing.
Well, the interesting one is Birmingham. Their next 4. I'm not quite sure the exact order. They've got a 4-game spell of teams all around them, and 3 of them are at home. I think they've got like Burton, they've got Hull as well.
They've also got a new manager bounce to factor in, possibly with Gary Monk.
So if they happen to win a couple, and Barnsley can nick a home win from somewhere, and it could potentially reel somebody in, and if Wednesday do.
There's always one team at the end of the season that just plummets like a stone, isn't there?
But that is Wednesday's fall. They are falling like a stone, but they're not falling. They are falling.
Yes, because everybody else is not good enough to. That's what we said earlier. It might be a ridiculously low level of points you need to stay up this season. I
think with the players coming back, they'll find a spark and get enough results to
probably
to put it to bed in a way. And I think everybody will be glad to see the back of the season start again.
I mean, that's the ideal thing, isn't it? To get a couple of results soon, and then you could see them sort of Norwich and Reading getting a couple of wins there, and
that's it. Our time is out. Or, time flies when you're enjoying yourself. We'll say that, don't they? So my thanks to Leon Wobschall for his fine debut on the show, to Kevin Gage. I hope you'll be back. There's not such a long delay this time. Thank you to you for watching. It'll be on my YouTube channel later. See you next week. Bye.